Week 4 of the 10th season of the GBA is finally upon us, and Playmore is taking on the Edmonton Coilers. This is the first home game at the Swamp in a while, and I'm feeling it, Tyler. I'm feeling it.
You know, John, normally I wouldn't say anything about this, but I more so just say it out of my concern for you. You don't quite look your normal Sunday best.
No, Tyler, the AC is out. It's humid here, and I am terrified looking down at the team preview and seeing Iron Valiant on the other side. I don't know particularly what we are going to do about that threat, but Tyler, I know someone who might have some ideas. Ben?
Whoa, would you look at that? It's time for another dub. Let's get in the team builder first, though. Being off the squad, we have Glamora with Air Balloon and Toxic Debris. With Spikes, Sludge Wave, Earth Power, and Energy Ball, we have good coverage for potential leads, such as Dawnfan trying to rapid spin immediate hazards. Other than that, we can get up a Spike immediately turn 1 and really benefit his poor lacquer removal. And next up, we also have Sandaconda to get up those Stealth Rocks and help with the hazard stacking. Glare is also very spammable against his team, along with Earthquake. And Rest plus Shed Skin is just a wonderful combo to get that early wake and full health back. And our wonderful MVP with the Sun, we have Torkoal with Lava Plume, Body Press, Earth Power, and Rapid Spin. Just good coverage overall, and hopefully the Body Press can catch that Tyranitar off guard and pick up a KO. Coming off the bench, we have Slitherwing making his debut with Close Combat, Earthquake, Flare Blitz, and U-Turn, holding that mighty Choice Band, doing a lot of damage to everything on his team. Even a defensive Intimidate Tauros. Fire takes so much from Close Combat, especially if we're in the sun. Also to abuse the sun is our beautiful Dragon Dance Roaring Moon, a staple on this team at this point. With Terra Blast, Terra Flying, that is right, Flying, we made a recent transaction, dropped Terra type Fire for Terra Flying, and it's just amazing coverage of Flying plus Ground. Roost gives us longevity, and Covert Cloak lets us set up versus some of the annoying things like Galar's Slow King or potentially the Alamomola that might want to get annoying stat drops or potential status. And lastly, Asumi and Samurott, our potential sweeper for the team, holding the Adrenaline Orb. Now the Adrenaline Orb will give us +1 speed if hit by Intimidate from that Tauros on the other side, which can really help us just break through their team or force an Iron Valiant to come out early and waste its booster energy. We have Encore to lock in a Pokemon to an annoying move like maybe T-Tor or Dawnfang, get up Stealth Rocks, or he goes for Rapid Spin, or we catch Alamomola on a Wish. We Encore into that move, and then we get a free SD. They might go to Tauros thinking they want to capitalize on a Ceaseless Edge. Nope, you're giving me a speed boost, and I kill you with a +1 Razor Shell, even if you're max Fizz Def. And then we outspeed just about everything on your team. So, bring it on. We're ready this week. Let's go play more.
Thank you, Ben. It's always great to hear what the coach has in store. Heavy on hazards, finally bringing Slitherwing. But I'm excited to see what our opponent is bringing, because there's one guarantee at the top of that list. And Tyler, that is a very bulky team. Wow.
It's a little bit different from what we've seen so far this season, John, because I feel like for the most part we've been talking about all of these offensive threats on the other side. And
yes, sir.
Obviously that still certainly exists with Iron Valiant. But like you said, it's going to be a bit of a different matchup from everything we've seen so far with so much bulk on the other side.
Absolutely, and considering it's Gen 9, the power creep is real. He's got 2 pseudo-legendaries over there. Galarian Slowking is more powerful than regular Slowking. I mean, Tauros has always had good attack. Dawnfan has good attack. I mean, these are not walls that aren't going to be able to punch back. It's a very bulky offensive team, and I feel pretty good about the hazards on our side to really whittle things down. Now, there is the Dawnfan there that has Rapid Spin unless something huge has changed. So that will be kind of interesting, but I feel pretty solid about this matchup. I really, really like our team, and that Iron Valiant, still don't really know how we stop that thing, but I see the vision, especially considering Roaring Moon outspeeds everything on that team. We have the new Terra type flying over there. We're ready to use that, and that should be pretty handy against Iron Valiant, so I'm excited to see this.
And you couldn't pick a better place, John, to debut a new Terra type than here at home at the Swamp. You gotta do something. Okay, well, Ben, what is this? Ben, that is quite the opposite of a Swamp.
It's very different, and it's very hot in this room, but it's a really, really smart lead. As we got that air balloon, Dawnfan's not going to be able to take us out with an Earthquake, of course, and we get to get a big energy ball off on this thing. I love this first play. But that's a really, really bulky Dawnfan with the Rapid Spin to get rid of the hazards and outspeed next turn. Now, Toxic Spikes are up, which is pretty interesting. Do they go for another Rapid Spin here, or do they go for the very obvious Earthquake? I know Ben's switching regardless, but we might be able to get out of here with those Toxic Spikes still up.
I wonder here what the switch is, because I know 100%, John, the play is the switch.
Yep.
Is it Sandaconda already? Do we see a little bit of a hero from last week? We didn't know how much we'd see of Sandaconda this season, and this already his second appearance of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you called it there. I think this is always the play on the Donphan. And even if Donphan goes for the Rapid Spin, you can just fire off a Glare and get that on anything on his team. And there's going to be a few Pokemon that aren't going to be worried about the Toxic Spikes. We did see Galarian Slowking, did we not?
We did.
So that's going to be soaking up Toxic Spikes anyway. So just getting a Glare off here wouldn't be the worst. Toxic Spikes are on the field. That did not do too much damage. I think this is a free Glare.
Oh, I would think that has to be the case. Or,
yeah.
I mean, there's no switch. Anything you switch into is getting hit with Glare, and I would think out of everything on the opposing team, John, I think you just let that happen to Donphan.
Ooh, I'm fine with that happening to Donphan. Oh, a little laugh from the Betterol over there. I love that. I love that emotion, and this really, really limits Donphan's usefulness. Crocodile can keep taking that leftovers recovery. Obviously, we got rest whenever we need it, but we could go for a Stealth Rock, get more hazards up, Earthquake just to get some damage on this or the incoming Pokemon. Could also just go for the rest to make sure this thing is healthy. Or a Glare.
Any switch here is scary, John. If you're the opponent, I don't know that you switch just because of how scary that Glare is.
Well, actually,
and I like
no.
the read from Ben here.
Yeah, I'm thinking right now the only thing that can get rid of the Toxic Spikes doesn't want to take the Earthquake. So I really, really love that play. Keeping the pressure on with Ice Spinner. Easy live. Now we just go for that rest. As long as they don't have Ice Shard, which would be kind of a crazy bring. I mean, this was a pretty solid start. There we go. Okay. I really, really love this, Tyler, and I think the hazard pressure that we're going to be able to put on the opponent is just going to be phenomenal this week. There is the Rapid Spin. Makes a lot of sense to see that. But Crocodile! Wakey, wakey! That's what you love to see, Tyler!
And on the other side, John, let's say this finishes and is the 1v1 it just looks like here, and there's no switch. Is there any other hazard removal on the other side?
I don't think so. There's always a chance. Hey, there's a lot of new Pokemon, and we're still learning on our feet. But I think Donphan's pretty much it. That's a really good prediction. Don't overplay it. Get that Donphan out of here. And we're looking pretty good now. If we had our MVP Kilowattrel on the team right now with Donphan gone, I'd be a little bit more excited, but just the ability to get hazards up and most likely keep them up is really, really exciting here. Now, it might be worth, as you talk about what you're seeing, I'll do a little bit of a look-see to see if there's anything with Rapid Spin that maybe we've missed, but I'm feeling pretty good about our chances to get hazards up and keep them up.
My only thought here is we are probably going to make a switch here. I don't see a way we leave Crocodile in, because I feel like, in my mind, he has a lot of purpose in this battle because of the threat that he can present with the Glare, and as we've seen, we can deal some damage with the Earthquake as well. I'm intrigued to see what that switch ends up being. I think you've got a few options, but it's still a little bit of a scary switch because Goodra, John, while a bulkier Pokemon, can still deal a lot of damage, as you talked about with a few members of the other team.
Oh, absolutely. Regular Goodra is one of my favorite Draft League Pokemon of all time. It's got really, really good coverage. It's a pseudo-legendary, so its stats are phenomenal. It is not easy to take down, not always fun to switch into, and we're about to see that. Now, I am interested to see the Magellan switch in here, as Glamora is a Pokemon with some decent special bulk. I just look at it and I assume it's going to be frailer than it usually is. It's going to take that Ice Beam, though. And yeah, looks can be deceiving, Tyler. That thing took that very easily. And we can fire back with, did we have Earth Power this time around? We do have Earth Power, yes.
Yes.
All right, very interesting. Now, Hisui and Gudra is another one of those Pokemon I've never seen in competitive. I mean, obviously Legends Arceus was not really the place for competitive Pokemon, especially competitive singles, so I feel like this thing could have some tricks up its sleeve that I'm not entirely ready for, but I'm very excited to see what Ben does to counter this. A little bit of a double switch here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what do you think he's predicting here?
I think, and this is what I'm starting to gather by how this works. I think he was trying to scout if that was a spec Gudra or not.
Some sort of
And
choice
to see
lock,
if it was still locked in to the Ice Beam. So one of those, whether it be, I would assume specs in this case. Clearly not the case there, as it did switch moves.
Yeah, now...
If that was the purpose of the switch, I don't know. If it was, great move, Ben. It paid off.
Well, and even if that wasn't the case, you know, Ben is someone who likes to make those double switches, get us in the optimal Pokemon. And Slitherwing this week has no switch-ins. It outspeeds Hisui and Gudra, goes for the stab U-turn. We know that Tauros is going to be here this week for the Slitherwing. It's the only thing on the team that wants to take a U-turn, and it takes it pretty well. But this allows Ben to bring in the perfect Pokemon for Tauros. And once Tauros is gone, there is nothing he can do about Slitherwing. He's only going to be able to double into it so many times. Obviously, it took a decent amount of damage, and it didn't really do a ton of damage to that Tauros. But it is nice to see these predictions from the coach early on. I like putting the pressure on the opponent. We get to bring in the optimal Pokemon, and if we can take advantage of this, we can put our foot on his throat a little bit more and hopefully get rid of another Mon, as he doesn't really like switching into Earthquake, Tyler.
No. And again, just no switch. Sandaconda this battle is so valuable because of the dual threat of the Earthquake and the Glare. It's tough to know who you want to switch that into.
Especially considering that, you know, our opponent had, a little bit of a berry to stop the Earthquake. But the opponent had two electric types that wouldn't be hurt by Earthquakes. Didn't bring either. Probably was hoping that we wouldn't rely so much on ground moves, but that is absolutely happening. And here, it is a little bit scary, as we've already seen that Hydro Pump. It's going to be able to do a lot of damage to Crocodile. It's going to do a lot to the Torkoal. And it would do a lot to also Glamora. You know, it's really good coverage this battle. I'm interested to see what Ben decides to do here.
It might be a case here with the damage that's incoming. You know, it's not, as we mentioned earlier, it doesn't have the specs boost. I wonder if he stays in with the thought that Sandaconda eats whatever is used here and just tries to get off a big damage hit now that the berry's out of the way.
It is an interesting thought. I think that is a good possibility, and that could be a really good play. Could be a little risky. I don't have the damage calc in front of me of if it is worth doing that and hoping to get a rest off somewhere else. And he does decide to do that. Wow. Fantastic
Huge
prediction,
damage.
Tyler. Okay.
Now, does it live?
I expected to live. And we outspeed this Gudra and could get a rest off here, predicting the switch out, or you keep the pressure on, go for that Earthquake. This thing is gone or something else is gone. Let's go, Ben. That's what you love to see. Tyler, that was a switch-in nightmare for us. Wow.
A beautiful start, and what I love again about it, John, it's something that we saw last week, and it feels like it's becoming a theme with how our team is built. We're getting opposing Pokemon off the board without having to use our aces, or at least what we view as our aces. It's what we saw last week. Kilowattrel took over, cleaned things up.
Yep.
When you look at our team, you're always thinking Roaring Moon is the big offensive threat. We continue to show that that is not the only killer this team has. We've got a lot of Pokemon that you may not think of as big offensive threats, but man, our quote-unquote support mons have been fantastic, and we're seeing that again today.
Absolutely. I mean, when you go to build a team, one of the first things, at least I used to look at, is the speed tiers. And the fact that we have the fastest Pokemon in this game, at least, you know, not including Scarfed Pokemon, makes it a little bit easier. You know you have that thing in the back. We do have this Samurott that can get the speed boost. if that Tauros comes in, which is really interesting, 2 ways to sweep. At this point, just whittle their team down bit by bit by bit till we can get the sweep. This is an easy switch in here. It has Earth Power, and we already know the opponent's not happy to switch in on ground moves. That's going to do diddly squat. And now we can just, fire off an Earth Power? Or does this thing have... No, it doesn't have Stealth Rocks this week. That makes sense. But Earth Power, Body Press, Lava Plume? I think this is an easy Earth Power. But I agree with this. I don't think there's a need to overplay your hands. Yep. I like this. Get a little damage on the Tyranitar. Could be weakness policy, which would not be cool, actually.
That would not be ideal. That's a good point you bring up.
Okay. No, I was over-worried.
Okay, we're good.
We do have a little bit of a problem here, Tyler. We got the kill with the Sandaconda, which was awesome. I loved it.
Yep.
But it is weak, and we don't really have a switch in for little old Tyranitar here. Now, Tyranitar is a Pokemon that has been powerful since the beginning of time. It eats mountains, and it could set up here. So this next play is going to be really, really important. So far, we've had all the momentum. It's been our game to lose, but it's not even close to over. This is a big one, Tyler.
On Tyranitar, again, another defensive Pokemon that is a heavy hitter. So
Yes.
it's going to take a lot to take it down, but it can do a lot of damage before then.
Okay, Stealth Rocks to chip us down, make it a little bit easier to sweep with that Iron Valiant. I do see the vision there. And I do see the vision of getting spikes up here. You don't want them to be able to switch in constantly over and over again. So I really like making it a little bit tougher. If it is... Ooh, I don't think this gets Toxic Spikes, though. Does it? Yes,
Oh,
it does.
It's a physical move.
Okay, there's been some things where it's contact only. This one just being physical makes it a lot better. Okay, that's what I was thinking. My bad there. But we bring in the Crocodile, right? If we can outspeed, get that rest up. Or just live, get that rest. I love that. 2 layers of spikes. You gotta bring in the Slowking to get rid of the Toxic Spikes. Or you could bring in Buggy here.
We could bring in Buggy.
I love this.
And hope there's not a berry on the other side waiting to cut this close combat in half.
That will not matter. Let me tell you right now, Choice Band in close combat, this thing would be dead. But the U-turn, the U-turn. I think he got a U-turn here, right? I mean, if they bring in the Tauros, it gets poisoned. If they bring in the Slowking, it gets hit with that U-turn. This is exciting. There's the
Big
Slowking.
prediction.
Okay, this might kill.
Should do a ton of damage.
I love this so much.
Oh.
Oh man, oh man. I got a little too excited. This thing does have Regenerator, so it's not going to be too upset. But you know it's going to switch out here, so you can really take this spot to make a big play. You could get the health back on Crocodile. You could try to set up a little bit of a, a more safe, timid play here. And it might be the right one. Okay.
This game it's really turned into almost a game of chess, John, where there have been a lot of switches just trying to catch the right turn, and so far it feels like it's been a stalemate between the two. There really has not been an opening presented on either side.
No, you're completely right there, and I love how aggressive Ben is continuing to be. Yes. I see the Sandaconda getting that HP up would make it so much easier to deal with the Tyranitar. Take a hit from the Iron Valiant, especially if it is a physical version. But don't let them get any momentum. Get rid of this thing. We can't get Toxic Spikes back up, so that's just kind of gone. But they're running out of Pokemon. And I really like this situation for us. Interesting.
This is an odd switch unless for some reason that Tyranitar has coverage.
It could. I'm pretty sure Tyranitar gets things like Ice Beam. I mean, I don't know if there's like a physical move that would be super effective at this point. Like Ice Spinner is one of those new moves that I am not the most familiar with of who gets and who doesn't.
It seems like Ben is assuming that coverage is the case because it looks like he's going to switch here.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's Ice Fang. I don't know.
Ice Fang, Avalanche, Ice. So it's got plenty of ice moves.
Yeah, it is interesting. I feel like we would be able to live it, but hey, we're in the booth
Safe
for a
play,
reason.
safe play.
Okay. Going to R long. This is our sweeper. Wow. Okay. As I thought, ice move. No! No! Oh, he read it correctly. Man, that was...
Oh, that's just rude.
That was a move to try to end the game. We don't get frozen. He goes for encore, gets the sword stance up. I think we might win the game right there. Wow. Wow. That is... Is that karma for last week with the poison, Tyler?
It might be. That stings.
It was the perfect prediction.
It was. It was such a good play.
There was
Granted, like you said, we benefited from something very similar.
Yeah. Well,
last week.
It's one of those things you have to factor, right? Like, you get the right prediction there. You're expecting that ice punch or ice coverage. You get in there properly, you can get an encore off, sword stance, maybe you win the game. There's always that chance of the freeze. It's really unfortunate. It's a part of that, when you're running everything in your head, that's one of the things you have to consider. Earthquake is the move you have to go for, but if they stay in, we're down 2 offensive Pokemon here. I don't think we can do anything but Earthquake here, which is unfortunate. But I also don't think the opponent can do anything but stay in. It's a difficult one. Yep, that's yeah. Oh, but we do kill. Okay.
That's huge.
That is huge. Hey, I feel pretty good about that. Both players had to really stay true to their guns. Ben had to go for Earthquake. You hope it kills. You can't let them switch into that Tauros, and all of a sudden, they're not worried at all, and you're on the back foot. But I don't think they really could switch, because if it was Earthquake as it was, you go into that Tauros, things are not looking good. If nothing else, you get to bring this thing in.
Well, and even Iron Valiant is not the most physically bulky Pokemon, John, and it's easy not to realize it with these Paradox Pokemon. Slitherwing, Choice Banded, even though the Earthquake is not stab, this thing has 135 attack.
Yeah.
Thing can hit hard.
Yeah, it absolutely can. That's the Terra type. That's not shocking. This week was always coming down to, will Iron Valiant sweep us? It looked like we might have been able to sweep them, or at least break through their team. The Ice Punch, it just worked out the right way, and now this thing outspeeds everything on our team with that booster energy.
This is when it gets fun.
This is absolutely when it gets fun, but Ben planned for this. He had to plan for this, of course. This was the scariest threat from second one of planning to this second in the battle. I know 1K Sunny can live a move here.
It's rather scary here, and I think that might be, in any case, why if you're Ben, you just have to attack. I don't know if you switch and risk the free setup, John.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm scared, because I don't know any attack we have that even deters the Iron Valiant from flinching, unless we think Lava Bloom can do a pretty good amount. I'm very scared about the setup. I'm content with this.
I am very happy to see this.
I'm no longer content with it. I hate it.
Yeah, that's,
The Focus Blast hit and did that much. I know it's strong.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that strong.
I question the Torkoal play from the beginning to
You're right. You're right. You're
because if we saw like a Calm Mind there, that would have been bad, of course. And if it had gone for Focus Blast, that would have been bad, of course.
It was bad.
But there was a switch of Terra types this week, a free agency move to get rid of the Fire Terra here, turn it into Flying. So that is interesting, considering we would resist Moonblast right now.
Well, at least we resist. We resist the Focus Blast.
This is true. Hey.
Oh, there's that.
Stay positive.
And it seems like we're 100% banking on that.
Now this is really, really interesting and exciting because if you go for that Dragon Dance, you once again get that speed back, take it out with that Terra Blast. As long as you can live a hit and there's no priority that takes you out. Oh, but the switch. Okay.
Now, wait a second.
Okay. This is really, really interesting to see. Obviously, the Intimidate is not our friend.
Not great.
But we do have the Cloak. So, Tauros wouldn't be able to burn us unless it has Will-O-Wisp, which I assume, since it's the fire version, it has access to. Let me check. It does have Will-O-Wisp. Okay. I'm assuming that is the play from the opponent.
We'll see if that is what they do.
I wish I could pause this battle, but we are live and it's exciting. The booster energy from the Iron Galleon Valiant is gone. So we outspeed. So at this point, we have the speed advantage, which is very important. You just can't let the Roaring Moon get burned. There is the Flare Blitz. As you said, bada bing, bada boom. Crocodile is out of here. Now,
Oh, but I'm flying with rocks.
I am a little sad, but there are rocks set up, are there not?
there are rocks set up, which makes
that
this
hurt
worse.
a little bit. Okay.
But here's the speed.
Now we're cooking a little bit.
We were already faster.
This kills. We outspeed. This kills.
But are they going to switch to get that Intimidate back?
That's the scary possibility. It could just turn into a game of switching.
Because we Terra Blast, they switch into Iron Valiant, we kill that, they bring that back in, they can 1v1 us, they get that Intimidate off. That's going to be a really, really bad spot. Can we afford the Dragon Dance? Can we... I don't know. This is so stressful.
Here we go. Turn of the battle.
Come on. Let's go! That's what you love to see right there! Okay! Can the Iron Valiant live a hit here? I have to assume he feels good about this.
Here we go.
Come on. Come on, Ben. No!
Oh.
Let's go! Let's go! Bang! Bang! Wow.
Clean it up. Clean it up.
Wow. There.
What a battle.
That's what I'm talking about, Tyler. And just like that. Playmore's 3-1. Oh, wow. Look at that handsome devil over there.
That's
oh,
our
yes.
leader.
Celebrate with the bump. Celebrate with the bump. Hey, yeah, there we go. That was a good one. Hey, Kilowattrel has been huge for us this season. It's our fastest Pokemon. Roaring Moon went into this battle as the fastest Pokemon on either side. You know, enough of us. Let's talk to the coach.
Another week, another joyful post-game interview with our esteemed head coach, the Beneral. Ben, we're 3-1 on the season. We just got our first home win of the season. Has to feel good to pick up that win in the place that we call the Swamp. It doesn't really look like it, but to get a win here in the Swamp.
Oh, it felt absolutely amazing. Hashtag get out of my swamp. Let's see it in the comments because that was an amazing battle. Very hype. Came down to the very last hit and I almost had a heart attack. But we won, which was amazing. And I'm just so stoked. That was a very tough opponent, tough matchup. And to do it for the fans at home felt just so good.
There were a lot of fantastic plays in this battle. I don't know if there was a better play than that switch into Samurott, knowing you could encore the ice move and set up Ben. The freeze was not ideal, but let me know right now, do you think you could have swept if you didn't get frozen, or was it still going to end the way it probably ended?
It was still going to end the way it ended. You know, when hacks go against me, it's just like you put me in a corner and, you know what, I'm like a raccoon, then I go... And then I just, you know, capitalize on it and, you know, get the dub. Like, yeah, it really just, It was annoying nonetheless. I don't think Samurott would have sweat from that point because we did see the booster energy on Iron Valiant. So if anything, that would have just been forced to proc a little bit sooner than Owen might have wanted to. But at the very least, we would have gotten rid of the T-Tar, and we would have, if he did go Tauros instead of the Iron Valiant or anything like that, it could have done a few things. But once again, it's just kind of situational where you're like, you don't know what they're going to do next after just the downfall of the freeze. So
one debate me and John had near the end of the battle was the fear with Tauros in, Sun was up, and trying to figure out what caused the switch there. For you, was it the risk of a Will-O-Wisp? Was it the risk of a Flare Blitz in the Sun? What was going through your mind there as you tried to set up some kind of winning scenario at the end?
So when I originally went for the Dragon Dance and the Tauros switched in, it brought me back to neutral. And on paper, you might be thinking, Terra Blast flying, still super effective. It probably just kills. If he was max defensive Tauros before that Flare Blitz recoil, it was a very low roll in my favor to kill. So more than likely, I wasn't going to get it, is how I saw it. And if I sack the Sandaconda to the Flare Blitz, then it goes upwards to at least 90% chance that I get the kill. If he's max Fizz Def. It's all about, trying to figure out just your best option as a win con. And in a very stressful moment like that, it's kind of hard to consider it. You could see I got very scared about realizing I'm going to take 25% from Stealth Rocks this time. But luckily, we were at the point to where in that final turn, or final 2 turns, or whatever, Iron Valiant only had a 12.5% chance of killing me with that Moonblast. And luckily, it just turned out to be that way, and we were doing okay. But at the same time, he had a 40% chance of killing my Torkoal with Focus Blast. So it was just that close of a game when there was just so many rolls involved that it just made it a very epic battle.
One final question, Ben. We've seen every single Pokemon brought this season. We've seen Sandaconda multiple times. It's gotten multiple kills. But when will we see Bubby once again?
Yeah, I'm very happy to be able to use everyone on the team so far. Slitherwing was the last one from the bench to hop in. And we know Bubby wants to get more of the spotlight, but he doesn't like to hog it. He knows he's the GOAT. He just knows. He's got to let the rest of his team feel good. But if there's ever a moment to where we're feeling like we really need just that go-to W, that's what Bubby's for. The mascot, the GOAT, the king himself. So he'll decide. I don't make those choices. Bubby does.